It's one thing to have a bright idea and another to create a thriving business.
Now, student innovators have the chance to turn their dreams into a reality. Student entrepreneurs will pitch their ideas to a panel of experts for a chance to win funding. From tech startups to socially conscious ventures,
The time for affordable therapy is now.
these students are ready to impress with their vision.
But only one
Will walk away with the money to kickstart their venture.
Join me as we uncover the next generation of trailblazers. This is Seed Money. Welcome to the heart of innovation.
Set among the historic beauty of UNC Chapel Hill.
I'm Mary Lacey, an alum and an entrepreneur myself.
I actually came up with my business, Eats to Seats, right here on this campus. And today, we have a team of over 5,000.
So I know a little thing about making a dream into a reality.
We're here to witness something truly special. We're on the brink of discovering the next wave of groundbreaking innovations, the kind that redefine industries and change lives. Public health is an arena that moves at light speed. These three teams have innovations that not only promise a brighter future, but deliver a healthier one for all.
I'm Jasper,
I'm Brady.
and we're Impulse Wellness.
So I'm from Raleigh, born and raised, never really left the area.
So I also live in Raleigh as a child.
I'm a PhD student here at UNC Chapel Hill, and I primarily study stroke and neurorehabilitation. As a grad student, there's not a lot of free time anymore. However, back in undergrad, I used to be a cheerleader here, so I love going to UNC sports and watching all the events, and I still do that now in grad school, especially being a basketball school here. It's really fun to do that.
I'm a computer science nerd, love programming, and anything electronics. I love to rock climb, love to lift weights. I love to be fit and active. That's part of the reason I'm so drawn to this technology in particular. Tracking my muscle signals is amazing. I love my muscles.
Personally, for both of us, we both have had family members who have been affected by stroke, some more recently than others. Our goal now is to really help them get back to where they used to be so that they can live better and have longer and healthier lives. I think Brady's one of the smartest guys I know, and he doesn't give up.
Jasper, definitely the best leader I've ever had the pleasure of doing business with. He always looks for ways to help us understand the problem from a different perspective. It's really easy for me as an engineer to just get focused in, and Jasper's able to keep his head up, keep us all informed, stay focused on the goal. I love that about Jasper.
Oh, thanks.
We are Impulse Wellness.
And we'll get users back to their best.
My name is Florian Seige, and I'm the co-founder of Iris. I was born and raised in Vienna, Austria. I left home at the age of 14 to go play hockey overseas in Canada and finish up my high school there. I played 3 years of junior hockey in the United States before coming here to UNC, which was the best decision I ever made. My dad owns a business in Austria, so from a very young age, he kind of instilled this entrepreneurial spirit in me. I think hockey is always going to be a part of my life. It's my passion, but at this stage in my life, I think I've come to the realization the odds are better of me making a little bit more money through business, through my brain, instead of my hockey abilities. My name is Florian Seige, and I'm the co-founder of Iris.
Hi, my name is Tian Wang.
My name is Hassan Dia.
My name is Varad Garude, and we're the co-founders of Capio Innovations. I'm Varad. I'm originally from Alpharetta, Georgia, which is about 30 minutes away from Atlanta. I'm really interested in studying biomedical engineering. That's what I've been studying for the last 4 years so far. It gives you the opportunity to put in your hands-on experience, but also be able to help patients and make changes into their treatment options, essentially.
My name is William. I came to UNC for biomedical engineering. I'm from around the area in Raleigh. Biomed was like a route with no blood where I could help people kind of like a doctor. We met as classmates. Our other co-founder, Hassan Dea, just kind of linked everyone. And then we worked with each other in clubs and just became a group of friends. Every one of us has some family member that's related to a disease or ailment. Everyone knows someone with a disease. 3 of my cousins have epilepsy. The thing that we're creating is something that is going to potentially be for our family, so we don't want to mess this up. Varad has done an amazing job becoming kind of our business person. Tian is one of our other members who has taken up a similar role in this. And then Hassan and I are mostly focused on the software and engineering aspects of it.
I'm Varad.
And I'm Will.
And we're Capio Innovations.
Now it's time to meet our judges. We have Bernard Bell, Executive Director of the UNC Shuford Program, Scott Maitland, Professor at the Keenan Flagler Business School at UNC, and founding partner of UNC's Brewery of Choice, Top of the Hill. Our guest judge is Elaine Belay, an active angel investor, founder and board member of RTP Angel Fund. We're so thrilled to have all of you here. Okay, contestants, you'll be evaluated using the following 3 criteria. Overall idea, is it innovative? Is it disruptive? Is it sustainable? And is it scalable? Presentation, can you sell? And did you hook us? And of course, impact. What kind of impact will your product have on users and consumers? Let's send these 2 teams back to the holding room and we'll get started with Impulse Wellness. Leading up to today's pitch, you had the chance to meet with the one and only Scott Maitland to workshop your idea over a working lunch. Let's check it out.
We just want to hit some of these key points that this talks about.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey Scott.
Scott Maitland, very nice to meet you.
Jasper, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you. So tell me about what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So we make the best device. It's a wearable device to make home rehab for people post-stroke more easy and accessible.
Okay. Wow. Tell me what questions you have about condensing all of this great idea into a 2.5, 3-minute pitch.
What do you think are the big points we should be hitting and addressing?
It's awesome you have the tech, but don't get sucked into explaining the tech. This thing exists, it works, but tell the story about the problem and why you created it.
So we know that, access to care leads to improvements, but it's just not fun. It's not engaging and it's hard to access.
It's also terribly boring.
Right.
Honestly, I broke my pinky and it was so annoying to sit there and do this.
Just do it.
The only time I really truly went through the full range of motion was when I was in the clinic with my doctor.
So I'm trying to think about how we can add a little pizzazz to your pitch. Like my own story, when I was starting Top of the Hill, it was about return on investment and all that. I got nowhere. But when I changed the story and I said, hey, you can be a part downtown Chapel Hill, you can be in the center of all the celebrations, that's when I started selling interest in my restaurant, right? I think that you need to emphasize the fun aspect of this. As an engineer, you need to really bring that out. I'm looking forward to see how it works out. Remember, emphasize the fun.
Okay.
Certainly. Thank you.
Yep.
We can do that.
I think there's a lot to work on. So we'll get there. Hi, I'm Jasper.
And I'm Brady.
And we're the co-founders of Impulse Wellness. All too often, individuals post-stroke are discouraged by poor recovery, with nearly 2/3 of patients stopping rehab just 1 month post-stroke. We know quality care leads to functional improvements, and yet traditional therapy protocols are not engaging and can be challenging to access. Our solution to address this problem is the best solution.
With the Bluetooth electromyography-based stroke therapeutic, BEST, we empower patients to play their way through recovery. By wearing our smart garment, we collect vital muscle and body signals to help track patients' recovery, offering clinic-grade feedback from anywhere, anytime. In addition, we use these signals as input to exercise games to help patients get through their therapy.
The telehealth market is ripe for innovation, as stroke is the world's leading cause of disability, with nearly 1 in 4 individuals having a stroke. The time for affordable, personalized, and motivational therapy is now. Join us today as we empower people post-stroke to get back to their best. Thank you.
Awesome job, guys. Let's hear from the judges.
That was really impressive. You guys are doing a great job. Where are you actually in the development?
So we have about 12 months left of R&D, and then we'll be prepared to go to the market.
So you have a proof of concept, you know this works, you're just nailing down the final specs.
Absolutely. We're starting to polish up our prototypes to get our MVP, or minimum viable product, ready.
How did you determine the specific demographic?
So that's our next step, is to see how far along and how early on can we start working with our stroke patients.
So are you thinking about using this in rehab centers, in the hospital, or once the patient's already home?
So once the patient goes home, that's the big gap we're trying to address. As soon as you're discharged, a lot of therapy is left to the patients themselves. So if we can be there in their rooms, in their homes, supporting them through their journey, that's where we think we can make the difference.
I was struck by the numbers, the fact that 2/3 of victims stop rehab and they do this within a month. Is there a way for you to translate this into saving of medical dollars spent?
I'm happy you're asking that. That's really our dream, is getting insurance reimbursement and getting these companies on board to make this technology even more accessible.
Who actually buys this? Is it the physicians or is it the patient themselves? They buy it on their own?
We're not just selling to the stroke patients themselves. We're selling it to their families, their kids, because those are the ones that are going to be checking in on their parents. I know personally, I've had a family member who's recently had a stroke, and I'm calling her every day to make sure she's doing her rehab.
One question I've got is when I look at the technology and it's iPhone driven, and then I think about the typical stroke victim, to me is older. Is there a disconnect between the technology and then that older demographic?
Our application being mobile also works on tablets. Many older folks have an easier time with those, and our system works there as well.
The latest data out is older adults and 55 plus are amazing users of technology, particularly tablets and very easy to use mobile.
Not my daddy either, right?
You know, the thing that strikes me too is we're sitting here talking about the rehab portion and the clinical part. I think that the thing that gets lost is I keep forgetting that this is a game. You're turning this into something fun. That's a cool aspect. Good job.
What would you all do with the seed money?
I think these funds would really go useful for us in terms of speeding up our R&D and gathering voice of customer. If we can bring in some of these stroke patients to feel our product hands-on, then we'll really know what are the pain points and how can we improve it.
Nice job. Nice job.
Impulse Wellness, great job. We'll see you back here when we announce the winner. Welcome, Florian. Let's take a look at your time with Scott.
Now, you like to go by flow, is that right?
That's perfect.
All right, well, let's have a good flow today, right?
That's right. Perfect.
Tell me about what you're working on. I'm excited to hear.
So about 2.5 years ago, we started a software company specifically to automate the regulatory compliance in the personal care industry. Unfortunately, my co-founder wasn't able to join me for this pitch competition. Do you have any advice on how to, enhance my stage presence, being just by myself on the stage, whereas other teams have, multiple people in?
Well, I think it's important that you make sure they know, that the coaches know that you are in fact part of a team, right? This is what she brings to the table. This is how long we've been working together. The fact that you're up there by yourself, I'm okay with that.
Touch on it, let them know.
Yes.
And that will, be part of the confidence that is instilled in the whole pitch.
That's right.
We're pretty far along, we're post-revenue, we can show traction.
And so that would be one of the things that I would say then is emphasize that, hey, we are already in business. We are already getting money. And, the energy thing, it sounds strange and it seems kind of nebulous, but you don't want to be overhyped. You're not a car salesman. You are the confident person that has already figured out my business model, it's working, and now I just need to scale. You can actually show, hey, we're advancing and we're unique and this is a big market and I've got a team and I've made sales. So come on, man, you're gonna do this. You're gonna rock it.
All right, I appreciate that.
Hi, my name is Florian Seige, and I'm the co-founder of Irisys. We are a software company automating the regulatory compliance process in the personal care industry. Currently, the process to go to market is extremely long, it's extremely slow, and it's extremely complicated. We're putting your product into different countries with different regulations, maybe even in different languages. But the process is not just slow, it's also disparate. Recent reports have shown that underrepresented minorities, especially Black women, are disproportionately affected by the toxicity present in non-compliant products. Not to mention the animal testing, the plastic waste in products, and the chemicals present in non-compliance products we use every single day. We can do better, and we have to do better. Through the use of our software, our clients can increase their efficiency by a factor of 10. They build their products directly into our software tool using ingredients, trade names, and raw materials, and we help them by automatically generating regulatory reports, registration sheets, formula sheets, everything they need in order to go to market. That way, they're more compliant, they're more innovative, and they're more equitable. To date, we have achieved the building of the state-of-the-industry regulatory compliance database, and we have partnered with the second largest trade association in the industry. Our target is to achieve $1 million in annual recurring revenue. Obviously, we have big plans. We would use your money to expand our current sales force in order to expand our existing business and keep building our AI formulation assistant. All of that will help us realize our company's mission of creating safer cosmetics for everyone.
Florian, awesome job. Judges, what do we think?
Amazing, Florian. How did you come up with this idea? It's so needed, but it's not the typical thing somebody's going to think about.
So I was actually talking to my co-founder, Karen, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. I was interning for her. She's been in the industry for over 30 years, working specifically on regulatory cosmetics. She's been a consultant now for over a decade, and I was learning what she does, and I just simply saw that it's a repetitive, tedious task, and it was ripe for automation. So I went to her with my idea and said, how about we automate this? And that was over 2.5 years ago, and we did.
So do these companies, do they know that this is an issue?
They absolutely do. There's no way around it, but nobody wants or likes to deal with it. So that's where we come in and we introduce a better way for them to solve this problem, be faster, be more compliant, be less toxic.
Does this mean cosmetic companies can eliminate a lot of animal testing by using your database?
Yes. So we have a very large database of trade names that can be filtered by, is it vegan? And a plethora of other characteristics that consumers start caring about, but also that consequently companies and brands are starting to care about because that is a label that they would like to include on their products.
What I hear you saying is not only are you emphasizing the formulation side, but then you're going to make it really easy to file all these different reports. Is that right?
Absolutely correct. At one glance, they have a report that's saying this ingredient that you used at this level in your formula is going to be either permissible or not permissible, or you have to lower your level in order to be in compliance.
So you know what might be helpful in your pitch is to start with that document, because that was a great visual for me, because I have a better understanding of what the value add is to the entity that needs this product.
Where are you? Are you already selling it? And who's buying it?
Yes, we are. We're officially post-revenue, and we kind of have 3 ideal client personas. On one hand, you have the brands themselves. On the other hand, you have consultants. And lastly, we have contract manufacturers.
In your experience, how often do the regulations change in this space?
Quite frequently.
Right.
Especially when you consider it in a global landscape.
How much of the market is in the US and then in the EU and the rest of the world?
In the US, the personal care industry is about $300 billion, and globally, $650 billion, set to grow to nearly $1 trillion.
How would you use this seed money?
This seed money would directly help us expand our existing business. So since we're in the early stages of post-revenue, we already have an existing business and a go-to-market channel and onboarding process, but all of that needs to be expanded.
Nice job, nice job.
Great job, Florian. We're gonna have you join the other teams in the holding room. Here is Capio Innovations.
Let's talk pitch.
Yeah, sure. Our company is Capio Innovations. What we're working on is a algorithm for seizure detection. Well, it's like out now. I pursued within his family, so like this is like a project of passion, something like we've been working on like almost like 2 years now. What would you say is like kind of a good balance between like telling like the story kind of what we're doing this versus like the technical, like how much technical description of the product?
I think the reality is storytelling carries the day. And if you can interweave the technical into the story, all the better. You've got the story about how this is motivated by your teammates' family that has this problem. I don't think you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of how it works unless somebody asks you about it. Give a brief overview. That's enough.
I think we made a lot of progress like on figuring out like our financial statements for the future and projections. You want like investors to see like our first year revenue stream or like how do we get there?
The reality is I always look at those numbers and say you guys have just made them up, because guess what? You've just made them up, right? So find real numbers in the world. You guys have a sense of how many people in the world suffer from seizures?
Like, yeah, we typically tend to go with the 3.4 million because like
million is good. Yeah. You know, when we're doing the pitch, the judges are going to be out there in front of you, and you're not going to be the only people they're talking to, right? So you have got to tell an intriguing story that's got a hook. And one of the hooks is, hey, 1.2 million people suffer from this every year, right? And we've got a better product, right? I mean, say something that right off the bat, it's going to grab their attention and make people realize, hey, this is something I need to be paying attention to. And honestly, based on everything that I've learned today, this is good. You've got a good story. I think you guys are ready. Let's do this thing. All right.
Thanks
so much.
Picture this with me, moving out and living on your own while suffering from frequent seizures. This is the reality for millions of Americans who live with epilepsy. As a matter of fact, this whole project started with one of our co-founders, William McLean, who unfortunately couldn't make it today. Many of his cousins actually had suffered from near-fatal seizures, but were thankfully resuscitated. In the US alone, around 1.2% of the population are actually diagnosed with epilepsy, with an incidence rate of 150,000 a year, and a SUDEP mortality rate of 1.16 per thousand a year, which roughly translates to around 4,000 cases.
After examining the depths of the issue with the patient population, we've created a solution. Our solution is an algorithm that's going to be embedded into existing hospital EKG systems and will allow us to use our software to actively and continuously predict seizures, alerting doctors and physicians 3 minutes in advance before an event occurs.
So compared to our competitors, we have several advantages, namely in that we will predict seizures before it happens. In addition, we will be seeking FDA regulations for our device. So currently, we're still working on the development of our software algorithm, and we would like to finish a prototype by the end of this year.
Amazing job, guys. Judges, let's hear from you.
What is the scale of this problem?
Yeah, so epilepsy in the US, there's around 1.2% of the population, which translates to 3.4 million individuals in the US alone. And SUDEP specifically, there are around 4,000 cases every year of SUDEP mortalities. So it is a fairly scalable problem that certainly needs an additional solution because the current existing solutions on the market clearly are not cutting it.
Is your product designed for all epileptics or just those that are already in the hospital?
So currently we're working on our minimum viable product. So we would like to integrate into the hospital EKG systems. But our ultimate goal is to have a system that works any place and anywhere. So we would like to embed our software into a wearable device that can monitor epilepsy from anywhere, including your home.
Do you have a proof of concept? I mean, do you know this actually works?
So currently, our device is based on research. We have completed parts of the algorithm, but we would like to continue developing it in addition for further testing.
So what would you all use this seed money for?
Two major things are just continuous development of the software. Another thing would be pursuing like a lawyer for like patenting and like getting the Class 1 regulations for it.
Nice, great.
Gentlemen, that was so inspiring. This mission and vision is really important. You can go ahead and join the other teams in the holding room. Okay, judges, you have a hard decision to make.
They were all great. But I think that the impulse wellness to me, when I think about total addressable market, problem is being solved, that feels like that's a really strong contender.
I think we've got a challenge of the companies are in really different places in their development. Capio, they're right at the beginning. You had Impulse Wellness that has a huge market, huge potential benefit, but a lot of challenges in getting to market. And then you got Iris, which is actually in market already and has still a lot more potential. So we've got to balance out immediacy from overall market and where they are. And that's a real challenge.
Where does the seed money have the biggest impact, right?
That's a good.
So when you look at Impulse or Capio, you say, boy, they could really use that seed money, right?
Impulse probably could go the furthest with it, but it's really a challenge.
Impulse is probably the farthest along because they actually have a product.
I
think Iris is.
They're in the market, they're selling, they've got a huge potential market. The big thing is they don't need the regulatory approvals. Both Impulse Wellness and Capio, great things. None of them will have $1 of real revenue till 27 if they're lucky.
The thing I like about Iris is it's a very complex field, but what they're doing is not that difficult.
It's elegant.
I agree there. I guess when I think about a problem that needs to be solved, I look at stroke victims versus hair.
It's tough to fight that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the lens that I'm looking at.
But I'm going to push back a little bit. The number of particularly African-American women who have been hurt by the fact that there are certain chemicals and certain products that really hurt them. It sounds callous, and I don't mean it this way, but that is probably 10 times as large a market as it is for the stroke victims. I mean, we don't have an easy job. We have a high-class problem, though.
When we're weighing all of this stuff,
you said
Impulse, Iris is tough. Capio, awesome, but maybe just a little embryonic.
So if we look at it through the lens of how can this seed money affect their business and how far down the runway can it take them to the next level, I think I know.
Yeah, well, I think I've got a pretty good idea as well. Let's put it this way. Prize money goes a long way in terms of sales and marketing.
Do we have a winner?
I think we do.
We do.
Let's bring back out our teams. Any final thoughts, judges?
All three companies were just amazing. You guys are doing work that will really make the world a better place.
It was a tough deliberation, but couldn't say it any better.
And I loved how prepared you were. Y'all were able to answer our questions very eloquently.
You made our job very difficult.
Yes, yeah.
The winner of this week's seed money is Florian with irises.
This is fantastic. Obviously, a fantastic opportunity to present in front of 3 amazing judges. Everything we're trying to do with our innovation, similarly to all the other companies, is trying to make the future a better place. And part of this seed money is going to help us realize that ambitious goal. And it obviously feels very good to have won seed money.